Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. On today's episode, my guests are the leadership team of Phoenix Theater Cultural Center. Join me now as I go on the aisle with Artistic Director Constance Macy, CEO William Powell, and Associate Artistic Director Paige Neely. Welcome, Constance, welcome, Paige, and welcome, William. I'm glad that we were finally able to pull this together. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
How's your day going?
Wet.
Paige likes the rain, though.
I love the rain. It's been pretty nice and calming.
Yeah. Okay. So let us fill in the audience first of all on what it is that all three of you do at the Phoenix Theater. Let's start with you, Constance.
I am the Crystal DeHaan Artistic Director at the Phoenix Theater Cultural Center. I choose plays for the Phoenix Theater to produce, and along with Paige and our production manager, Zach Hunter, I coordinate the whole schedule for the place. And I meet with different community service groups to see how we can fit them into the cultural center. So I spend a lot of time looking at the calendar.
Yeah. Paige?
My name is Paige Neely. I'm the Associate Artistic Director for Phoenix Theater Cultural Center. My role is to assist Constance in the selection of the plays for the season, also helping with the programming at Phoenix Theater and bringing also groups into the theater and the space, as well as managing the Michael O'Brien art gallery that we have there.
And William.
I am the CEO of the Phoenix Theater Cultural Center, and it is my job to oversee all of these things, as well as to manage the budget and assist with fundraising and to work on the capital campaign and be the direct contact with the board of directors.
Okay, Constance, how long have you been in place now? When were you appointed?
So I was appointed in June of 22. But I actually started as an interim in February of 22. So I've really been at the theater just over 2 years now.
And how about you, Paige?
It'll be my 1 year in July, so almost a year with Phoenix.
Time flies.
I know.
Yeah.
So many exciting things have happened since.
Okay, and William?
My 1 year will be in May.
Okay, so you're all fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
Your team, right? And I take it you operate as a team.
Yeah, we're a great team.
Very much so.
So how are things at the theater? Let's have an update.
I think things are going well at the theater. We have right now playing a play called A Case for the Existence of God, which has been produced by the American Lives Theater. This was a last-minute addition because we had a cancellation. And so just by circumstance, the district theater was really not available to them. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. It worked out well for everyone. This play is now in the Russell Theater opening this Friday.
And I will be there. And what's up with you, Paige?
So yes, we just had our opening reception of Urban Valentine, which is by Rebecca Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
She's a mixed multimedia artist, and she had her exhibit opening on First Friday. So she will be in the gallery until April 28th.
Okay, what is the gallery? For those who have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes.
The gallery, describe it.
So it is the Michael O'Brien Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
It is inside of Phoenix Theater. It holds about 380 feet of wall space to hang about 30 to 40 pieces of artwork. Our goal with the gallery is to have unrepresented groups, people of color, to have the space to exhibit their artwork.
And I must say you've done a great job because I've seen several of those exhibits. It's very impressive, very impressive. And I love the full-scale picture of Michael as you walk in, and there he is. It's just, what a tribute. What a great tribute.
That's what I was going to add, that Jackie Knightis always tells people it's the only memorial to Michael in the town, in this entire town.
Really? I'm surprised. Well, of course, anybody in the arts who's supported or been supported by printing partners, including myself, He left a great legacy, and it still continues, right?
Yeah, and a part of that legacy was to bring equity to the artists. So as a part of the gallery, we don't take any commission from the artists.
How do you find the artists? Or how do they find you? How does that work?
Well, we are well connected now since we've opened this season. A lot of the artists are just from personal connections, but also visitors to the theater. It's just like a creative ecosystem. So it depends, but we get a lot of requests, which is really good as of right now.
So I take it word spread too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Very fast.
Yeah.
That's
when
great.
I first came in, I didn't know anything about curating the gallery. This was before I had Paige, and before I had Paige on staff. She's not my daughter.
Adopted.
Yeah. But so I was scrambling a lot going, does anybody know anybody that wants to put up art? But now that we've had some good shows and some good events in the gallery, they're sending us their stuff all the time, wanting to exhibit there.
And, I love the fact that this gallery is part of your overall vision for community use of the whole theater, right? And that was intentional to bring that dimension into it, to visual arts.
I think at the old church, there was always some art.
Yes.
Right? On the walls in the little lobby space. But it wasn't like a stop on First Friday per se. But I think now the Michael O'Brien Gallery is its own.
And is it a stop on First Friday? Cool. Yeah. And are the artists able to sell their work?
Yes, they do. They do sell their work, and we don't take any commission from it.
No,
so
right.
They take the complete.
Well, that's wonderful.
So we just direct people to the artists.
For a long time, artists began to feel exploited by these restaurants. Here, let me hang your art so you can get exposure. But it never went anyplace, They didn't consciously promote it. It was just part of the decor and all. So this is dedicated space. And so have you found like regular buyers, people? Do you have people that who come into the theater for shows and have gotten accustomed and they actually purchase art regularly?
Well, for Rebecca, she sold 6 pieces on her opening night, and the majority of the audience were invites from people that she knew, and then as well just from traffic from First Friday. And then we do get a lot of traffic from the productions, like the patrons who come to the show, so they're able to purchase those as well. It just depends on the artists that we have in the gallery, but I think a lot of the traffic comes from First Friday.
Okay, so let's talk about theater. Constance, how are things playing out for you? You're a noted actress. You're well known in the community for your performances on stage. How have you settled in? I interviewed you not too long after
I remember
you were appointed, and I asked you questions, and at that time you were sort of getting the lay of the land, if you will, and I asked you for not predictions, but like what some of your short-term and long-term goals were. So give me a state of the union, if you will.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think when we talked that day, we were still very much in the throes of, we have got to do better for our artists of color. We as white people, right, have got to be better. And so I remember talking a lot about that with you that day. And I have to say that I feel like we are doing the good work. Since then, we have created this beautiful collective that includes an all-Black company. We have become good friends with the Latino film dreamers and a lot of underserved groups. We are very involved with Speak Up, which is a group that serves the homeless cause. And William, what do you want to add? Anything else to that?
That's new for me. I've not heard that.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
When you talk about Speak Up, William.
Well, I was going to say one other thing, which is what we've been working really hard to thematically have what we call trail talks, to have discussions about the topics that are represented on the stage. And Speak Up is a project of corporate supportive housing. And they work with formerly homeless people to do training for public speaking, to allow them to affect change on a government level by being able to speak in front of senators and state representatives and hopefully affect change in housing policy.
Okay.
Right. We also have worked with the Immigrants Welcome Center. Anyway, we have a lot of partners now, and I feel like people are noticing the good work that we're doing at the Phoenix. And I have settled in. when we were first talking, I had only been there a few months and I was flying by the seat of my pants, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've got a handle on things now. I love the job. I was just talking to someone. So Indy Shakes is in the building rehearsing Julius Caesar, which is going to be next after the American Lives show. And I was talking to this young actor that is playing Casca. And I said, I played Casca once. And he said, well, are you acting now? And I said, I don't really act that much anymore. And he said, do you miss it? And I said, I miss it a little, but I love being here amidst all of this all the time. This is giving me so much joy. So, yeah, I think things are going well.
What do you think from your experience as an artist, a working artist? How does that inform your, shall we say, you're an arts administrator now. Mm-hmm. How does it inform running this business? And I'll ask William about how you two overlap, because I know that happens when you're in your two roles. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that.
Well, I mean, as an actor, it's all about being honest and living honestly in a situation and living honestly in the moment. And so I feel like I'm pretty much an open book, right? I'm pretty blunt about things, which was, I think, a little shocking to my board of directors at first. But they've gotten used to me. And I think I have really created a fun and happy place to work and be. The team seems to all really love each other and feels proud of the situation. And
would you say also that having been a working artist,
mm-hmm.
that you're a professional equity actor, mm-hmm. would you say that gives you a special perspective as far as being an artist advocate? You advocate for artists.
I do.
Intentionally.
I do. I have managed to get the artist fees up,
Oh, really?
We no longer pay just the bare minimum for equity, and we pay non-equity the same weekly salary that we pay the equity actors. As you know, though, the equity actors end up costing us twice as much because mm-hmm. of all of the other stuff, but everybody's taking
a small
home.
thing. Do you call them fees as opposed to salaries?
For the actors, for the actors, it is a salary, but for the designers, I would call it a fee.
Mm-hmm. But you don't use the word stipend. I haven't heard
No, not a stipend.
Okay.
A stipend is not fair.
Yeah. Okay. A stipend to most people is sort of like, it's sort of a...
Yeah. Will you get on Zoom and read this play with me and I'll give you a $50 stipend?
Okay. Yeah. So words are everything, aren't they?
They are.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the restaurant saying, hang your art here and we'll get you exposure.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's kind of patronizing in a way.
It really
is. And it's devaluing what these people are doing.
Yeah. So and I still feel we could do better with the directors and designers as well, but we are moving in the right direction.
I think we talked at length, or did we not? Pardon me, but I've been very interested in what was unleashed by the unfortunate things that happened during, the pandemic. Mm-hmm. But a lot of good came out of all that turmoil and that controversy. Mm-hmm. And I have seen the arts have always been in the vanguard of change, always. Theater especially, But after Black Lives Matter and all the activism that came out of that, I could see it. The theater was doing it not only nationally, but here as well. The Phoenix and IRT and other professional, I was beginning to see people of color on the stage, not many behind the scenes, though, mm-hmm. but then ever since that, it would seem to me, it appears to me that it has moved to a point there's no return. And I'm loving seeing all of the Black and Latino, not as many Latinos, and I hope that over time, that's going to take some time. But certainly Black designers, costumers, lighting, stage managers, that to me is a joy. It's not just representation mm-hmm. on the stage that you are intentionally, you told me you were going to search out those people. Uh-huh. And you were going to do internships, and
Paige is one of our.
She's not an intern.
Well, tell me, I have a stake in representation. I've been in the wilderness for years. When I first moved here, there were 10 Latinos, so you could count on your fingers.
That's how I felt as a Democrat in Hamilton County.
There were just a few of us, and that. And Brian was like, he was the one who started the ball rolling, and we'll get into that later, but. From your perspective, Paige, what are you saying? Was I, in fact, are my observations correct?
Yes, they are very much so correct. So it's about access and opportunity. And I think the theater organizations and like structurally as a whole, they're coming to a point where they're realizing we need people that represent the community that we serve, not only like on staff, but in the stories that we're telling on stage. So having people of color, having Black women and Latino communities behind the stage, and like you said, lighting, directing the shows, as well as being the forefront of the theater community is a big deal. And I feel like the theater community as a whole is finally taking on to that and giving the opportunity and access, because you don't know, I feel like being in the theater community and starting this job with Phoenix, it was able to open my eyes to a whole different world of being behind the scenes, since I'm also an actress as well, and also how to manage a theater company. So my personal experience with Phoenix has allowed me to grow in different ways. So I feel like access and opportunity is what, these theater institutions are leaning more toward, and also community representation.
What is your arts administration background? I knew you were an actor, but you ran a theater?
No, I've never run a theater before.
Okay.
So this is my first associate artistic director position.
Okay.
I have directed 2 plays when I was in college.
Okay. And where was that?
Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're from Atlanta.
No, I'm from here originally.
Okay.
Went to Atlanta.
Is that a historic Black college?
HBCU.
Oh, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And were you involved in theater, educational theater? Were you on the stage?
Theater arts and broadcast journalism.
Okay.
My first production was Go Ask Alice, which is one of my favorite plays. I got to play a crazy teen woman, which is kind of similar to the role that I played at 2 Mile Hollow in Phoenix, where she goes off and she's discovering herself and, finding herself. And it was a perfect role for me at that time.
And as you know, having reviewed that show, I loved the blondes.
Oh, yes.
And your performance in particular.
Thank you.
Was just great.
I love Mary.
I didn't recognize you when I met you. You had to remind me. Okay. And all right.
It's different without the wig on.
Yeah. So, William,
crazy.
What role do you play in representation? You pay the bills, don't you, in a way?
Well, in a way, yes. But I think we all work together to make sure that if we're going to tell people's stories on the stage, that we allow them to tell them themselves. So we try to give as many opportunities as we can to people of color and people that have been underrepresented to tell their stories in their own way.
Well, you played a part, though, in what Constance was talking about, raising the salaries and all of that. That's part of it.
Correct. And a big part of what I had to do was restructure the organization for sustainability purposes when I arrived. And we have achieved that. And we have a very good, cohesive, hardworking, efficient group of people.
Well, there was big news for you and lots of other organizations recently when Crystal DeHaan's estate made a gift to all of you. She shut down her foundation. How much did you all receive?
We received, as part of our Ignite Capital campaign, a $1.323 million endowment as part of that campaign from the DeHaan Foundation.
Okay.
So that will provide, on an ongoing basis, the operating revenue that the foundation used to support us with annually.
Okay. So did a portion of that went towards your capital campaign, which you yet to finish, but hope to soon? Correct?
The entire thing went to the endowment portion of the campaign.
Okay.
So, yes,
I see.
Because right now we're at about 5.23 million of a $6 million campaign.
So you got some breathing room, right?
We just had some. We're calling it Reignite because I had to get in there and figure out what needed to change, what I was doing, and what we needed to look at. And so now we're reigniting the campaign to finish up that last little bit. And I start with meetings next week. So
tell me about your background.
Many, many years ago, when I was but a young person,
come now.
You come off as youthful to me.
Well, not when I wake up in the morning. I'm just grateful I do. When I first graduated from college, I did a lot of nonprofit work.
Where's college?
Denison University in Ohio.
Okay.
And I worked in Elkhart County as the county court interpreter, and also did fundraising for a small organization called La Casa, which did community economic development and worked with settled out migrant workers.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that about you.
He's very fluent in Spanish.
So
yeah, I heard that. I heard that you have a group of you. You go out and what's it called? The lunch group?
it's just our lunch. It's 2 board members and I and
Martha O'Connor being one of them.
and Helmi Banta.
Okay.
And we speak Spanish the entire time. And the lunches keep getting longer and longer.
And raunchier, I hear.
We had a dirty word session last time.
I'm on a quest to finally learn Spanish, so I hope you'll invite me sometime.
Of course.
You know?
Well, Helmi is a native speaker because she was raised in Panama. And Martha was born in Nicaragua, but was that kind of group of people when they came to this country weren't supposed to speak their native language.
Yeah.
So
She and I have talked about all that, so we have share something in common.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just learned recently that another board member, Linda, also speaks Spanish, so she's going to be joining
fun.
us.
Yeah.
So it's
that's
a
so
fun
important.
group.
And let me shift this discussion for a minute
Sure.
to tell you how, for me, I had mentioned before, meeting Brian was for all kinds of reasons, but more so because his father's Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
He and I immediately bonded because of our shared heritage and culture. And, to see his dreams come alive whenever I go to the theater now and I see African Americans, depending on the material that's being shown. But, it used to be that no one has a better perspective than I do about audiences because I go to everything. I cover everything, and I have for years. And it is a clearly segregated community when it comes to the arts. You rarely see, except like at the Palladium when there are jazz groups, where you see black and white audiences. It's just the simple truth as far as I'm concerned. But I'm beginning to see more integration at the Phoenix, or all black audiences, which is great, depending on the material. But also, the Latino, the film premiere, it just was so refreshing, and it was emotional for me to see all of these Latinos come out of the woodwork to support those filmmakers.
Right.
And the energy was
so
truly palpable. It was just a very...
The Secretary of State was there.
And I could see Brian smiling down from heaven because that's what he envisioned. And he was the first to present plays by Black playwrights, Latino playwrights. And so you guys are doing it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I was talking, we had a trail talk around our 40th birthday, the theater's birthday. And it ended up being... because of the people that participated, it really kind of ended up being a conversation about the evolution of people of color in the theater here in this town. And I remember Bill Myers talked beautifully about how, back at a time when other theaters had to meet with their board of directors to see if Bill Myers could play the teen angel in Grease, right? Bill Myers is mixed race. Meanwhile, Brian Fonseca was producing the August Wilson cycle and a lot of bilingual pieces.
Yeah. Jose Rivera, or Luis Rivera, I was in a play that he directed called The Promise. And it was an all Latino cast, except for one person. That was revolutionary.
Yeah, nobody else was doing that. Yeah, so Brian was the first mainstream theater.
LGTB stuff, longtime companion, and
when people
Angels in America. He faced a lot of criticism.
What was the play that people picketed?
Well, he and Ron Spencer were picketed quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, people picketed Theater on the Square, too. Yeah, because people didn't want them doing these. It's like, well, just don't come. But no, they didn't want them done.
I think that Brian single-handedly, with his vision, he educated a couple generations of Indianapolis and got us to a point where we could finally feel like we were sophisticated. We're knowledgeable about the world. And he started, I think that single-handedly what he did through the institution was to educate masses of people over all those 40 seasons, if you will, or up to the point where he left the theater. What was it, 35?
18.
Yeah. So, in any case, his legacy lives on. And, I have to address the elephant in the room, but I see that a lot of healing's taken place ever since he left, and that controversy that ensued. And I don't want to talk about that, but I do know that I like to think that if he were here today, that he would be pleased that his legacy lives on and that his mission lives on, and all the rest that happened. Many of those people have moved on, and I hope that people have moved on.
I hope so too. Right after that happened with Brian, I don't know, being dismissed, then right after that, maybe a year later, was the pandemic. So when I came in after the pandemic, I felt like I guess I didn't really actually know what Brian's plans had been for this place. I just knew we were in a place that we couldn't really afford by ourselves. And so, started working toward making this a bustling hub for all kinds of artists. But then recently found, as I was digging through files, this video that was made before the building was built. And it was narrated by Gail Steigerwald, and she's talking about this cultural hub that it's going to be. And I use the word cultural hub all the time. And so I thought, then we're on the right track. We're doing what was intended to be done here, right? I just think it just kind of got lost with the controversy that surrounded Brian's dismissal, and then the pandemic after that. It's just the mission got lost.
I love the physical manifestation of that vision on the banners hanging on the side of your building. And all of the representation of faces, well chosen photographs. Who thought of all that?
I think Tony,
and we had each of the
Tony
resident
Crawford,
companies.
Tony, I work with him regularly.
Yeah.
He's really on top of things.
Yeah.
You're to be commended by having someone like him on board.
He's so funny. We love him so much.
And he really represents your mission quite well.
He does.
Yeah. So your talents and your experience are needed because it is a much bigger budget than the church was, right?
Correct.
And not only do you have to, you have to pay off the building at some point, but you also have to maintain it. And that's no small effort, is it?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was all part of our campaign. Was a portion of it was for debt, for endowment, for the program that helps fund Paige's position. And we also have an associate technical director position. And we have a building maintenance fund that was established through the campaign. So, and then the other thing that I enjoy doing is kind of helping with coming up with ideas for expansion of programming related to theater. And just coming up with...
you're also always having to think of income or revenue streams, right?
Yes, yes. And
what are some things that you're doing? How are you doing on your rentals?
We are actually trying to... We have our last big rental this Saturday. And what we realized was once I was able to get a balanced budget, it really didn't involve a lot of rentals. We have a few small groups that come in quarterly, but we're not a wedding venue. And
we're not actively seeking that.
It takes so much staff time away from trying to do the mission that we are able to balance the budget with having more theater, which really should be our goal, more diverse theater. And frankly, by Constance working very diligently and Paige to develop this whole, the resident companies or collectives, because we have two different names we call them. And so they're doing more and more theater, so we're getting more and more people in the door. And that's one of my big things with the programming is how do we get more people in the space?
And if you're doing the good work, you can seek national funding, regional funding.
Right.
You don't, and just to shut down, to shut down for a day and host a wedding, it's this is not what I signed up to do ever, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the entire staff has to be there to help, make sure people stay
making sure there's ice, making sure.
A lot of your colleagues have to host weddings in order to keep the doors open.
Yeah, right? But we have figured out a much better way to actually earn revenue from art.
Paige, talk about the educational programs.
Oh, and this is exciting too.
Oh, yes. So we are in the works of planning Phoenix Theater Cultural Center's Playbook Project program. So it will surround involvement with local schools, high schools, K through 12, and bringing them into the theater. So this will also provide work opportunities for them. We're partnering with Simon Youth Foundation coming up in August to come to see what the Constitution means to me by American Lives Theater.
Because, if you do not go to theater as a teen, you're never going to be a theater goer.
Well, I want to be transparent here. I mean, if I were worried about conflict of interest, I would be gone a long time ago. But I am. I'm involved in so many things. In fact, we had a wonderful conversation. Martha Connors asked me to participate in the committee for Latino outreach, and I am so excited because I told her all about my neighborhood of Hallville. I'm there because of Brian, and yet I see all of these Latino kids all over the place, and it's a Black and Latino for the most part. Hallville is the West Side, and I think about all these kids and how they could access the arts. All that talent, all that intellectual property.
And it really just
really excited about helping.
Yeah, it's underway. We're fleshing out the structure of it, but it's really just about giving the students opportunity. Putting theater in front of them and saying, this could be you.
But that's not an easy matter to get kids in buses to your plays and all of that, is it? It's not.
Well, we're figuring that out.
Yeah, this will be an experiment because we've never brought kids in buses before.
Yeah.
But I think it's a planning process, but I think it
well, IRT does it regularly. It's been part of their programs for years, but but I'm just saying there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, isn't it?
And the interesting thing is we're not only partnering with the Simon Youth Foundation, we're partnering with American Lives Theater because it's their production that's going to offer. We're working with them to offer student matinees, which we never have really student matinees. So it'll be our first, and a lot of programming around that show itself.
Well, back to Latino outreach, what are some of your ideas about doing outreach in that community?
Well, William was reading some plays in Spanish that what was that playwright's name, Paige? Do you remember?
He was one of the
We called him the Silver Fox. He was
what?
He was one of the filmmakers from the film. Juan Carlos.
Which one?
The older Juan Carlos.
Silver Fox.
I think he did the main film that was done. And he sent me a couple of plays, which I now have to read aloud and translate for
me, because I can't read that.
Because the board had told me that they had tried to do some Spanish language plays years ago. And they said, of course, we lost our shirt. And I said, well, if we can fund it, we'll do it anyway.
Maybe just a reading one night. You don't have to do a full-on $45,000. Yeah.
Right. If you think about it, when Brian was doing them, there was a very small Latino community. And now that's changed.
Yeah.
I feel like
they're looking for
the whole West Side, really.
And so I'm hoping
you got to build in market.
Well, and I'm hoping we can partner with the film group to do a reading of one of these plays.
Do you see a Latino-based theater company on the horizon?
Of course.
That would be grand.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the goals of the district when the CICF changed the district over and remodeled and stuff. And I mean, they have Ben Rose there now with the Indie Black Theater. But I think down the road, they also wanted to host a full-time Latinx company.
So we will have to push that forward.
I feel like hopefully in my lifetime, we will have all these diverse theater companies happening. And I do think this is a really great arts town, and I just want people to notice.
Has there been any interest from the Asian community, Native American community, the Indian community, which is really huge?
Yeah, we have an Indian board member, but we have hosted a couple of documentaries and one that brought out a lot of the Islamic community. It was called, I shouldn't say Islamic, Arab, because they're not actually synonymous.
Right.
It was called Arab Indie was the name of the documentary. When we did 2 Mile Hollow, because that playwright was Asian, the original production of that, she just wanted the family to be anything other than white. But when she first produced it in Chicago, they were all Asians. Okay. And so that did get some excitement, and we had some Asian folks audition, and Ian Cruz ended up going on for Jay Fuqua, I think. Yes. But yeah, I haven't, I'm still stymied when, I read a play and it's like, okay, well, this is a Native American character. I'm like, do I know any Native American actors in town? I'm sure there are, but I just, haven't met them.
And I think the first step in that is what we're doing, which is trying to do not just theater work, but cultural engagement with these various cultures in the center, and trying to bring programming in that may not be a show, but it'll be a trail talk or a conversation.
Or having them in the gallery, because we do have a lot of Asian American artists, multi-mixed media artists that'll be coming in the next couple of months. So hopefully we'll forge that relationship and move that forward on bigger programming.
So you all realize, like I pointed out before, that the city, it's been billing itself, promoting itself as world-class, but it never, as far as I was concerned, it never lived up to that. But slowly, I feel like this community is finally reflecting its demographics. Do you agree? Finally.
I feel like, well, unfortunately, for most of the country, it took the brutal murder of a black man to make this happen, that we all watched happen because it was recorded. But I do agree with you. I think we are, and people still say India, no place. And I'm like, that's not true. That is not true anymore.
No, I concur with you. Those people who have that mentality, they don't get out very much.
No, and they won't come downtown.
And I think they're a minority, really.
Yeah.
But moving forward, Constance, now I can ask you this question. Now that you've been in the trenches and you tested some of your theories about managing or the artistic vision, what do you think is realistic? And I'm sure you guys have a strategic plan. What's your artistic strategic plan? And then I'll ask you about the financial one, William, or maybe they overlap.
Always.
Well, we are actually
whatever she wants to produce, you're going to have to pay for it. Okay.
Yeah. We've been working as a group. We've been having meetings because we're working on our new strategic plan. So we're doing our part of the strategic plan about programming.
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken.
Always.
Yeah, I think you have to have your artistic goals in place, and then you look for ways to fund them. But yeah, I think we've been talking a lot about what we have going well for us, which is the diversity of the collective. And, what are our weaknesses? And that's usually limitations in funding.
Or groups we haven't reached.
Right, exactly.
Fully.
Yeah.
So,
limitations in demographics within our audience. And I think we're doing pretty well on stage. But as you said, like backstage, I would love to be able to work with more designers and technicians and backstage people, stage managers of color, diverse backgrounds, because, I think right now it's just the designers are elite. They go to school for it. They go to college for it. They usually go to grad school too. And then if they're, they usually pursue their work in bigger markets, right?
So there's a gap in the matriculation processes.
Exactly.
We're still waiting for those high school Latinos and African American kids to get through high school to find supportive teachers.
And maybe they
get to work within the theater and pick colleges.
Right.
Exactly.
And get training.
And we talk about that in our planning sessions about what kind of training program is there to expose kids that may have this natural talent that they don't know, and then how to help encourage it.
I would love to see kids like from Shortridge or neighborhood schools.
Christmas Addicts.
Come to shadow like stage management and stuff like that. Stage managers, we have to use equity stage managers, Actors Equity Association. And there is a shortage of those in Indianapolis. Like I talked to Janet about it before she retired. She's like, we have trouble finding stage managers locally as well. And so, that's one area. But
IRT, as they have the budget to support it, but a lot of their designers are Chicago.
Oh yeah, they bring designers.
They travel all over the country,
right?
David Dreyfuss, who's
I love David Dreyfuss.
Yes, he'll be on this podcast, and I can't wait to talk to him about his experience.
Yeah, he's a wonderful stage manager.
For those people to make a living, they have to travel, especially those in the regional theater,
right?
And, their credits are extensive.
Right.
They've worked in California.
They've worked on Broadway. They've worked everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw David Dreyfuss at our last play, And I Will Follow by Bennett Ayers. And And I said, so are you maybe you could come and stage manage? But no, he's retired. He's totally done.
Yeah, I don't know. He could be talking. No, he's going to miss it sooner or later.
Okay, well,
if he listens to this, he'll hear us talk about it.
Let's hope he plays this podcast and goes,
shout out to David Driver. But anyway, my point about all this is that it's a generational thing. It's not going to happen overnight. Bringing these kids into the system, you know? And then that's something that, Paige, that you're going to be hands-on trying to make that happen.
Yes, making the relationships and, like I said, just giving them the opportunity and offering, like William said, the mentorships and the internships and the hands-on experience.
Can you at least do offer people students tours?
That is a part of what we
and take them backstage and show them what a costume shop looks like.
Because what we realize is
field trips.
People that don't know what they want to do because they've never seen it. They've never seen, it might be in their head, this weird idea. And until they have that aha moment when they're touring backstage or seeing how something's working and they go, I want to do that.
I remember, was it last fall? This young lady came in from Pike High School for a day. And, a young African-American girl. And she was just kind of awkward in the morning. But then when Paige arrived, it's like, here's this young, pretty Black woman.
That looks like me who's doing something in the space.
And she lit up. I just noticed a change in her when she met you.
Well, I don't think that white people sometimes understand what all that means. You hear that a lot now. People who look like me.
Right.
People who look like me.
Because we've
when
always
I'm in the
had
audience and I finally see people who look like me, I'll probably go back. It's simple. It's all about feeling welcomed, right? Isn't that the secret to all of this we're talking about?
And to seeing your story or your experience.
Well, even I've noticed your customer service, if you will, that counts for a lot in helping minorities or marginalized people who are intimidated by the theater or the ballet or the opera or anything, or the arts, the performing arts. And so the customer service is really crucial. Respect. From the time they're making their reservations to the moment they leave, they feel like they're being treated with respect and dignity, right?
Yeah. Making people feel welcome is a huge goal. Do you train
all of your people, like everybody from your ushers to your ticket takers, the people in the bar?
Yes, I am crazy about customer service. And we train people. If we see something that wasn't quite right, we redirect, we give people the skills. And
I've noticed that, by the way. I think that you guys are really doing a commendable job with all that. And again, my perspective is because I go everywhere. You can tell that's become, because it's so competitive and you're all looking for the same audience.
Right.
That's what people have come to expect, don't you think?
Yeah. And
like a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. If you want them to come back, they have to have a good experience from the time they step out of the car until the time they leave.
I'm just asking questions that other people probably have been interested. So if something's not quite right, who do I complain to? And will they take care of it? Or are they just going to blow me off?
Usually they would complain to a house manager.
Okay.
And then they would be given, they usually have the authority to try to figure out the situation. Or they would contact one of us. And we would say, okay, this is how you should handle that.
Yeah.
And
they will always write it up in their house manager report that night. And then if I read that and I'm like, oh, that's not how I would have dealt with that, we'll reach out to that patron. Yeah. We always want people to feel like they look forward to their next visit at the Phoenix.
Do you ever get a chance to talk to people after a show and you find out, oh my gosh, it's their first play? What is that like when you encounter people like that?
I enjoy, I'm not sure if it was their first play, but that have never stepped foot in the building. And then I just take them by the hand and we walk all over the place and they're just, oh my goodness. So
especially the bathrooms.
They
love the bathrooms.
Yeah, we've been voted best bathrooms.
Let's talk about those red bathrooms.
I used to find them really off-putting.
What do people make of all that?
They love it.
Are they comfortable with the unisex?
Well,
you're all welcome.
I had a man.
Does that creep anybody?
No, I thought it was very interesting. One night, a man, probably in his 70s, he came out and he walked up to me because we have our badges on.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You solved the problem." And I said, "I'm sorry." And he said, "The bathrooms." He said that was... Well, he said it was just a very natural experience. It wasn't.
It's because they're their own little water closets. You can't see anybody's feet. You can't hear anything coming out of them. They are little rooms. I call them the water closets.
I would have liked to have been on that community to do the design on all that.
My only thing
is... Do you know
is...
anything about that history, about all that?
That's probably the architects and trying to figure out how to have restrooms in a space. Right?
Well, let me ask you this. Has anybody ever said, "I'm sorry, it's too red"?
I have always found it to be aggressively red.
I'm going to add my 2 cents worth. It took me some time getting used to it. Yeah, I get it. It's part of the logo. It's part of the whole thing.
Yeah, everything is red at the Phoenix. The Phoenix is red. The floor is red.
But people love to come in and do photo shoots and take photos in the bathroom.
We always see people.
Always selfies in the bathroom.
Taking pictures.
What about those weird sinks? Do you ever get that?
We're still a little mad about whoever decided those faucets were a good idea.
Yes.
But I think they were chosen because they kind of look like birds. But unless you have tiny hands,
how do you mean?
Everything is bird related.
Because it's like there's the jut out, and then the faucet handles like this. That's just what my assumption, because I don't know who picked them. Yeah. But they are so low to the sink. Yeah. That I'm always bumping my knuckles on the faucet itself. Yeah. I actually looked into getting them replaced.
Oh my God. Yes. Because when a valve goes bad, plumbers come in and they're like, "Well, that'll be $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. There has to be an alternative to this.
Yeah. William has been under the sink with a wrench himself.
I went and bought valves and replaced them myself because I was like, that was $50.
And as far as the place where all the action takes place, the facilities, like the main stage, I love the main stage. I love the black box. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm so glad that the black box is part of the equation because, obviously that speaks to the roots of the Phoenix Theater, that small, intimate space. And so it truly is. Experience a lot of magic in that black box in ways that I'm not on the main stage. It's a different beast.
It's a different,
There's so many things that you can do with the Bastille. Mm-hmm. We've had Jay Lee, who's come in and done like a very personal, intimate piano concert.
Have you considered doing any performance in the area where you do the parties or the big meeting room? Have you considered using that space for any kind of performance?
You did do a performance in.
Well, I had to do Panther Women in there
because of equity rules.
Because of equity rules. Mm-hmm. So we had originally planned to do India Nicole Burton's play in the park outside on the outdoor stage, but it was like 100 degrees that weekend. And the set designer for that was like a found objects artist anyway. And so I was like, well, what would happen if we brought it inside? And she was very excited about that.
Are we talking about the room that I just...
the big...
meeting room where you can change the walls?
Yeah, that room. Yeah. So we ended up doing the Panther Women in...
Is that a rehearsal space typically? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Because we couldn't put Panther Women on the stage in either the Black Box Bastille Theater or the main stage Russell Theater, because Actors Equity requires that a certain percentage of the actors on those stages, if we're producing, have to be members of the union. And I didn't hire union actors for this because I thought we were doing it outside. Mm-hmm. And so anyway... We did that show. We set up, I think, like 300 chairs in that multi-purpose room.
Wow, you can put that many people.
Oh, yeah. It's a big room.
And it was great. It was great.
And I don't know if you know this, but that room was also designed so that when you split it, the one side is the footprint of the Russell stage and the other is the footprint of the Black Box stage.
No, I had no idea.
So that when there's a show going on and they come in to rehearse, they can set up the rehearsal in that space before until they have access to the theater.
Interesting.
So they can mark it all out and it'll transfer easily to the stage.
Well, they may have missed on the red bathrooms, but they certainly
hit the mark there. That's right.
So moving forward, is the collective in place? All the people who are going to be part of the collective are in place?
At least for the next season. I mean, I feel like it's whatever, as these companies move along in their own evolution, you know, they may decide that this isn't the place for them anymore or what, but next season we are jam-packed because American Lives Theater is producing 4 plays. The Phoenix is producing 4 plays. Indie Shakes has graduated to 2 plays. Summit is still doing 1, plus they do these, I call them If a Play Had a Baby with a Trail Talk.
Yeah.
Right.
Staged
reading, but it has it's always about some social
thing. If a play had a baby.
If a trail talk and a play had a baby.
I love that.
It's like a hybrid between
that. That is so marketable.
And then, Eclipse is still doing 2.
So Emily Ristine, bless her heart, you know, I interviewed her on this podcast, and she was telling me about the perks of having this concept and being a part of it. That you give them all their little cubbyhole, their little... Their office space?
Well, she has, because they pay a little more, they get their own cubicle.
Okay, cubicle.
And then American Lives, so their artistic director, Chris Saunders, now works for us as a grant writer. So American Lives has a cubicle that's always full of furniture and props.
Yes. Yeah, I hear Chris loves raising money for you.
Yeah, we love
getting a lot of experience.
We love having Chris. And then the other cubicle is shared between Naptown African American Theater Collective, Summit, and Indie Shakes, because they aren't ever they're rarely in at the same time.
What are they reporting about the effectiveness of this concept and their own universes?
I mean, I feel like they're proud to be part of this group.
Is it working for them? Audiences, just sustaining?
Yeah, I think the facility, it's a great facility.
Financially, I guess.
Parking lot, free parking, usually, unless it overflows. There are just a lot of perks about being where we are.
They get to use your ticketing system.
Oh, yeah, we do all the ticketing.
We do all the ticketing.
And our rehearsal space.
I know that Tony does a great job of marketing everybody. He really does pay attention to that, does he not?
Yeah. It's important to us that we market everyone equally, and then they do their own marketing.
I can tell you from experience that, and I'm not mentioning any names, but other venues, are criticized because they don't seem to do it democratically, or at least their tenants don't feel that they're all getting equal attention. So in any case, I think that's really important.
Well, and we don't we don't think of these people as tenants.
No.
And sometimes they have to get their head around that too, because we're not involved in their artistic decisions, but the ticketing, we want everyone to sell. So we're marketing because their total revenue affects our total revenue because of the way we structure this. So we want maximum capacity for everyone that produces something in the facility.
And am I right? You also just want the traffic, because these people are more likely to support the other partners.
Correct.
Once they come into the building.
Correct. Because
to see the amenities. And,
and to see, here's the next show coming up on the screen. So as they begin to see all the different things we offer.
They just had a great customer experience.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to, I'm going to try out this dance concert here.
Right.
I'm more likely to...
Relevations is another group that's been using the space.
Yeah. Tell me about your board, William.
The board, they're wonderful. We actually have a board member who, as of 2 days ago, is now going to volunteer in-house all summer.
Oh, yeah, because she's retired now.
She's retired, and she was looking for something to do, and we think it's going to be a hoot.
She got her bartending license.
She is ready. License. She said, I want to bartend. And I was like, okay. And so...
You can mention her name. Just give her a shout out.
It's Donna Siebler.
And so I think it'll be great to have that level of involvement.
And tell me who your board president is.
David Josie.
Oh, David. Okay.
Yeah, you're pals with David, aren't you?
Sure. Back when I ran the Edivine Repertory Theater, that's when we first met. And he was on the board, right. Well, great. It's great. So how long is his term? He's been there forever.
This is his last year.
He was there.
He was there in the past.
And left and came back. I think this is his last term.
I think when he came back, it was for a 2-year term as the president. So I mean, he'll never leave us, I'm sure, but he has to roll off the board after this year.
And how about the venerable, our friend Frank Basile? How is he involved?
He had concerns about the future of the theater, and he, I think, is extremely happy with what he sees.
He has told me that, yeah.
And it's always a pleasure to see him there. So, and he is also he's on our Ignite campaign committee, the Capital Campaign Committee, as sort of an advisor.
Yeah.
So, but he's always.
But we also have on the board Roberta Tisdale from Visit Indy, and we have Dustin Meeks from Barnes and Thornburg, and Allison Smith, and
who's your Latino representation besides Martha?
It's not,
Christiana. Say her last name. I can't remember. We're terrible people.
We are terrible.
Okay.
She works at Eli Lilly and Company.
Okay.
And then we have Abhi Marapure, who is from India.
Who also is with Lily? No, he's with...
I think so, Lily.
I think so, too.
We're about to end this conversation, but tell me about how people can help the Phoenix. Let's talk about volunteers, for instance, and then talk about donors. So do you have a volunteer organization that people can get involved in?
Not really.
Not really. I think after the pandemic, that never kind of came back fully because we used to have volunteer ushers. And now we really have house managers that seat people.
Well, also we're doing general seating for everything. Correct. So you don't really need an usher.
You don't really need ushers. Yeah. There's no assigned seating.
Right.
We are looking at, what was the group? Actors Inc., which is Sandra Gay's group, is operating out of the Phoenix.
Okay.
And she has connected us. Do you remember what the volunteer group was?
Ambassadors, are they still around?
It wasn't them, it was somebody else, but it's all senior volunteers.
Okay.
So we're going to look at that a little bit.
Constance, do you remember the ambassadors?
I do.
Yeah, the senior group. I haven't heard the name for a while.
No, but I mean, I still but I mean.
So you don't need that kind of a system.
We don't really need front of house assistance like that. We do have a group coming from Citizens Energy to help us one day in a couple of weeks, and they're going to do.
They came last year.
They're going to pull weeds and clean windows.
They do all kinds of stuff. So
tell me about how people who are interested, who might hear this, or how can people become involved in terms of donors, becoming sponsors, advertising in your program,
all of that. www.phoenixtheater.org.
Everything is on the website, and they can contact any of us directly. We're all our first initial last name at phoenixtheater.org.
And I suspect that last time I looked, you have the support of all of our plethora of local foundations. We're so lucky, aren't we?
We are. The Lilly Endowment and the Lilly Foundation and the Crystal DeHaan and the Indianapolis Foundation, CICF, the, Clues Foundation.
Well, they continue to give, but they obviously see the proofs in the pudding, right? About what you're doing with this concept, especially.
It's nice to meet with them. It's very exciting.
Has it helped your partners to have this? I mean, when they look for funding, they see.
They're pretty well connected too, I think.
It speaks well for them, doesn't it, that they're involved in something like this where they can sustain without.
Correct. And we also often give them the facility to host fundraisers for their own or whatever they're going to do. We give them the space to do that and give them ideas and help in any way we can. Because we want everyone to have overlap. We want people to develop theater goers.
Yeah.
So.
And theater makers.
Paige, what is your vision for the years ahead? What is your dream? What do you hope to accomplish in your role?
I would say to just assist in, bringing the cultural center to the forefront and making it a cultural center in all aspects, whether it's programming, the shows that we have, and the artists that we have in the gallery, just diversifying the cultural center as a whole. And then another big goal is to get the playbook program up and running starting in 2025. So we have a lot of good things on the horizon.
What's the progress of the African American Theater Company?
I mean, I think they were ambitious in their first year to take on so much. So we ended up dropping one of the titles off. Their decision to do that.
Okay.
And next season,
did Ma Rainey's do well?
It did. Oh my goodness, Ma Rainey and Detroit 67.
I loved seeing the fact that Brian took it to Ireland once.
He did.
It's got
they went all
history.
over the country first, and then so the Phoenix had won like a little regional contest, and so then they went
Sandra
to
Gay was in that production.
She was. She played Ma Rainey.
Yeah.
And then they went to like Oklahoma for like a national.
And I hear that Ben Rose was in this past production. I'm so sorry I missed it, but it did well.
It did
and Ben,
well.
what's great was Ben is really a trombone player in real life. So that was fun. So he looked very authentic up there.
Wow.
But anyway, what I was going to say was that Naptown next season is going to do 2 plays. I'm not going to tell you because they haven't announced yet, but they're going to do one in the fall and one in the spring.
And our season, the entire season for all of these people will be announced at our fundraiser in July.
Oh, what's your fundraiser?
July 13th.
What is it called?
It's called Backstage Drama.
Correct.
Because you're going to get to tour all backstage and see how things are made. We're going to give demos of some of the plays that are coming up and opportunities for you guys in the audience to maybe read a scene or, do a little fight choreography, learn how to fall down. I don't know. It'll just be fun.
Sounds like Noises Off.
Yes, it'll be Noises Off.
Yes.
Yeah, what fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
July 13th.
Okay. Well, listen, as we wind down, do you have any final thoughts? Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to plug, promote, harp about?
Well, I did want to say that with Paige's passion about getting these kids in, which I just think is brilliant, and with Sandra Gay coming in with Actors Inc., we will be serving. Oh, and we also have Tree Sears on our board, and she has a little school called World Changer School of the Arts. And so she brings children in every month for workshops. So we will be serving like kids from like age 8 to people age 98.
Yeah. And we're mushing some of them together this summer. We have the young kids in Teresa's film school, her film camp, are going to do a music video with Actors Inc.
As the actors. Isn't that going to be a
So it's going to be very funny.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Hey, are you doing anything for seniors? I got to speak up for my age.
That's Actors Inc. And we do. We also.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, but Sandra doesn't say seniors. She says polka.
People of a certain age.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I like
People
that.
of a certain age. So the polka. So we have Actors Inc. is in 2 days a week, and then 1 day a week we have a polka acting class that's free.
Yeah.
So
for anyone.
So we're really pushing the senior thing. We want everyone to love the Phoenix.
And we also do the Armed Forces acting class.
Yeah, Armed Services.
So tell me your website again.
www.phoenixtheaterre.org.
If you go to .com, that's in Arizona.
And that's the wrong place.
That's not us.
And I go there all the time. It's so annoying.
We have people buy tickets for their shows.
So are you on all the social media platforms?
We are.
Follow us on Instagram at Phoenix Theater Indie. And then our gallery page is MOB Gallery Indie.
Are you on TikTok?
We are.
Oh, great.
Phoenix Theater Indie.
Oh, I bet you're doing some fun things on that, aren't you?
Tony loves TikTok.
Well, listen, it's been just a delight having you guys here, and I hope we covered everything you wanted to talk about. And, let me be a little self-serving. I have an investment in what you're doing because I was one of the original board members. I was there in the living room with 10 other people when Brian pitched why he wanted to do this theater and ask for our support. So it means a lot to me when I walk into that building, and it just reminds me Indianapolis is a great place for startups, and the Phoenix is a good example of that. I was there, and I'm talking about possibilities. And Brian always said, surround yourself with the right people and you can't lose. It was so true.
So true.
And you guys are the embodiment of what can happen if you bring together the right people. So kudos to you all, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for taking the time to be here with me. And with that, tune in for my next conversation with local arts figures. And once in a while, we're going to have some big names too.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.